Hi chaps, I thought I'd do a video on my small and rather modest collection of British helmets. Starting off with my Brodie, which the official name was a Helmet Steel Mark 1, or in the US they called it the M1917. Nicknames such as Shrapnel Helmet, Tommy Hat, Tin Hat, or as the Americans called it, the Doughboy Helmet. The Brodie, or Helmet Steel Mark 1, was originally patented in 1915 by a guy called Leopold Brodie, that's where I got the name from, due to the, well, basically there was no head protection whatsoever during the First World War. The Germans used to use the leather Pickelhaube or whatever it was called, which didn't offer much protection. It was actually the French to first get onto it. They originally tried a metal skull cap underneath their caps, but that didn't last very long, and they eventually came out with the modern Lightning 15 Adrian helmet. The Brits decided to make a stronger and easier to produce version, using basically one piece of steel, which offered a lot more protection from shrapnel balls, but well, only if the shrapnel was burst from above. So here it is. This is an original First World War Brodie helmet. They look a lot like everything you've seen also in Second World War films, because basically the design of the shell didn't change that much. The difference is, and what makes this one particularly rare, is it's still got its original liner and leather chin strap. This particular version I think is from around 1917 or onwards, because they modified the liner to include a rubber, there's kind of a rubber ring inside here. I don't want to pull anything out because it's very delicate, which apparently made it a little bit more comfortable. So I'm just going to see if I can get to the original label. Excuse me, I film with one hand. Oh, there we go. I can't see it very well. It says Brodie Steel Helmet, War Office, pattern number something something something. So, another variant. You can see that the chin strap lugs are held on with rivets, as opposed to, no, sorry, split pins as opposed to rivets on the later ones. A lot squarer. Leather chin strap. Gotta be careful, it's rather delicate. But it's quite hard to find one with the original liner. That's because the Mark 1 Star came out a bit later, during, well, just before the Second World War, which was basically they recycled these helmets by taking the original shells and putting in a different liner, and that was then designated the Mark 1 Star. Next variation was the Mark 2, which is pretty much similar to the Mark 1 and the Mark 1 Star, but apparently a little less circular, something to do 5mm wider and shorter in the brim, although looking at it you won't see the difference. It's got a netting on it. It's got a web chin strap, but apparently they mainly came out of it as an elasticated version, so this must have been later. Other differences are, obviously, if you look at the liner, one's a little bit worse for wear. There you go, it's broken there. But this particular version, I'm just trying to find the year. Yeah, you can just about make out there. This particular one, it was made in 1943. And let me see if I can find a date. Oh yeah, I remember the liner is 1942. So there we go, that's the Mark II version. Look pretty much the same. Line is different. Apparently, as I said, a bit different in the shape, but very minimal. Next up is the Mark III, or more commonly known as the Turtle helmet. You look at the shape's a bit different. Designed to offer more protection, apparently up to 38% more protection. A bit deeper fitting, more more protection at the sides. This carried on in service until it was replaced by the Mark IV. Yeah, try and get this off in a second. The Mark IV had The chin strap lugs are a little bit lower to give offer greater stability, I suppose. So this actual helmet is a Mark III turtle, so World War II issue, but the liner is post-war. The date is 1950 on the liner. The helmet is actually I think it's 1943. So that's another one. Next up is the British Royal Armoured Corps steel helmet. A lot of people think these are paratroopers helmets. They're not. I think the shell was basically the same. The liner's a lot different. You see this has also got the elasticated chin strap on there. This is the Mark II. It's also got the I think it's the Mark III liner, which has got to pull the dot system, so you could pull out the liner and use it as a wash basin or whatever, a cooking pot. So there we go. That's my Royal Armoured Corps helmet. I haven't got any more polystyrene heads for this one. But this is a British dispatch rider's helmet. This particular model was made, let's have a look. My crappy camera will film that. It was made by British Motor Bigs and British Motor Bodies, sorry. It was made in Dagenham, which is actually where I was born, in London, basically, Essex. This one was made in 1943. Very small size, 6 1/4, so maybe for a woman or someone with a very small head. The particular one is in incredible condition. It's almost new. It's got felt protection around the back. Very nice indeed. This one, however, is my World War II British paratroopers helmet. The first version was introduced in 1940 and had a kind of hard rubber rim on the bottom of the shell. 1942 that was replaced with a fibre rim on the shell here, and in 1942 the Mark I was introduced, which was actually used from 1943 until I think 1954, where the fibre rim has been replaced by a stainless steel band. You can see this one here. I'm just going to get it off the stand so we can look inside. And so I'll also show you that this one is, obviously it's got the leather chin strap, because the Mark III was introduced in 1943 and that had a fibre chin strap, because apparently the leather tended to rot a lot easier. So this is the Mark I, still its original leather liner. I'm going to get it off, as I just said. Hang on a second. Okay, there we go. So you see the inside of the helmet. It's got a kind of cork. It's like a cork protective area on the inside of the liner. Let's have a look at the particular date of this helmet. Once again, British Motor Bodies in Dagenham, 1942. So this particular one is quite rare, I think mainly due to the leather straps, and apparently yield quite a price. This particular one has been painted, some kind of model paint or whatever is on the top. I don't know if it's really a model aircraft or something. The wrong colour, but I'm a little bit scared at the moment of using any kind of anything to get it off, just in case I ruin it. So I'm going to have to get some professional advice before I do anything with that. This particular model, this particular helmet, was found in a school in the north of Italy, where apparently kids use it for plays, and it's been painted all kinds of colours in the past. So how it got to the school, I don't know, but it eventually came to me. So I think that's probably the pride of my collection. Absolutely fantastic helmet, quite rare, great. And well, last but not least, but this one is a Mark IV. If you look at the lining on the inside, it's padded, it's a lot more comfortable. As I mentioned, it's got the chin strap lugs a lot further down the helmet to add stability. Shape, if I was to take off all this webbing, all this whatever it's called, and the net is it's the same shape as the Mark III turtle. That one there. I picked up this one basically because it was made in 1972. I'll just when I was born. That looks pretty nice. So, there we go. My Brodie, my Mark II, my Mark III, my Mark I Paratroops helmet, my Mark II Royal Armoured Corps helmet, and my Dispatch Rider's helmet. Now, I'm not exactly a public speaker, but well, thanks for watching the video, and see you guys soon.